final knock.
I trusted two people more than anyone else in the world, my wife and my best friend, so when I found out they had been sneaking around behind my back, it didn't just feel like betrayal. It felt like my entire life had been quietly collapsing right in front of me, and the worst part, they didn't even understand why I was angry. If you've ever been betrayed by someone you trusted, or wondered what you'd do if your entire world fell apart overnight, then hit like. Subscribe, because this story isn't just about cheating, it's about trust, addiction, guilt, and what happens when love refuses to die, even when it probably should. Everything was normal, actually better than normal. My wife and I had been together for 6 years. We had built a life, a home, a routine, a child. Yeah, we weren't perfect. We had small arguments. Little white lies here and there, but nothing that even hinted at what was coming. If anything, we were evolving, trying something new, something exciting. We decided to open our relationship, not recklessly, not impulsively. We talked about it, set rules, boundaries, respect. We called it polyamory, but to me, it felt like trust at its highest level. Because what's more powerful than saying, I trust you enough to choose me, even when you have other options? At first, it worked. We met other couples, had a few experiences together. And strangely, it brought us closer, or at least that's what I thought. But then she changed, not drastically, not in a way you could point at and say, that's it. It was subtle. She started wanting more emotional connection, not just physical. She didn't just want experiences anymore, she wanted relationships. I remember the exact conversation. She looked at me hesitant, almost nervous. I think I want something deeper with someone else, and I paused, because yeah, that wasn't what I signed up for, but I loved her, so I adapted. I told her, as long as we both know who the other person is, as long as there are no secrets, I'm okay with it. Looking back, that sentence was the beginning of everything falling apart. Around that same time, my best friend moved back into town. We hadn't seen each other in years, but the moment we met again, it was like no time had passed. We were brothers. The kind of friendship where you don't have to explain yourself, and because of that, I trusted him completely. I even told him about our lifestyle, our openness, our adventures. He didn't judge. He didn't hesitate, he just listened, supported, asked questions. Looking back now, I can't tell if he was curious or calculating. At first, everything seemed fine. But then I started noticing little things, small, uncomfortable details. My wife would mention his name more often. She'd laugh at texts, then quickly lock her phone. Sometimes I'd come home and she'd already seem distant, like part of her was somewhere else. And then came the lies, not big lies, just little ones. I'm going out with a friend, I'll be back in an hour. I forgot to tell you earlier, except the details never quite matched. And one night I asked her directly, have you been hanging out with him? She hesitated. Just for a second, then smiled. No, not really. That not really should have hit harder than it did, but I trusted her, and I trusted him, so I ignored it until I couldn't anymore. The night everything broke felt completely normal at first. I was hanging out with him, just us, talking, laughing, drinking a bit. But then he said something, a joke, something small. But the way he said it, the look in his eyes, it didn't sit right. It felt like he knew something I didn't, like he was standing on the other side of a secret, and I wasn't invited. That feeling, it doesn't go away, it sits in your chest, heavy, persistent. So when I got home, I didn't wait, I asked her directly, are you seeing him? She laughed, actually laughed. No, what, of course not. But her eyes weren't laughing. I didn't yell, I didn't accuse, I just kept asking, calmly, slowly, until her answers started breaking. Until the story didn't hold anymore, until finally she looked down and said the words that changed everything. Yes. I swear, in that moment, I felt it physically. Like someone punched straight through my chest. My ears rang, my hands went cold, and for a few seconds, I couldn't even process what she was saying. They've been seeing each other for months. Whenever I wasn't home, they slept together twice, and other things. Every sentence felt like another crack. Another piece of my life splitting apart, and the worst part, it wasn't just her, it was him, my best friend. The guy I trusted, the guy I opened my life to, the guy I confided in. I remember asking her one question, just one, why didn't you tell me? And her answer. I didn't know how. That's when something inside me snapped. Not anger, not rage, something colder, something heavier. Realization, this wasn't a mistake, this wasn't confusion, this was a choice. Repeated over and over again behind my back, and when I confronted him, he didn't even deny it. He just said, "I love her." Love, that word, used like it justified everything. I looked at both of them standing there together, and for the first time in my life, I felt completely alone, not angry, not screaming, just empty. And what hurt the most? They didn't understand why I was upset. That's when I realized something terrifying. I hadn't just lost my wife. I hadn't just lost my best friend. I had lost control of my own life. But what I didn't know yet was that this betrayal was only the beginning. Because the truth that came out next about drugs, manipulation, and lies I never saw coming would force me to make a choice: walk away or fight for something that might already be dead. The night I found out my wife had been secretly sleeping with my best friend, I thought the worst had already happened. I was wrong, because what came next was even darker. A few days later, we sat down, all three of us, same room, same tension, but now no lies left to hide behind, or at least that's what I thought. He sat across from me, calm, too calm. Like a man who had already justified everything in his head, and she couldn't even look at me, her hands trembling, eyes red, and for a moment I almost felt bad for her, almost. We started talking, or more like unraveling everything. Piece by piece, detail by detail, every word dragging something ugly into the light, and then something came out that I never expected. Something that made my stomach drop in a completely different way. He hadn't just slept with her, he had been feeding her something, not emotionally, not just psychologically. Drugs, Adderall. Cocaine. At first I didn't even react, it didn't register because it didn't make sense, but then she started crying, really crying, the kind where your body shakes. Where your voice breaks mid-sentence, and she admitted it. It started small. He said it would help me relax, help me feel less guilty, less guilty. I sat there, frozen. Because suddenly this wasn't just betrayal anymore. This was manipulation, this was control. And the worst part, she had a history, addiction, something she had fought to escape before I even met her. And he knew that, which means this wasn't just selfish, it was intentional. I turned to him, slowly, carefully, because I knew if I lost control in that moment, everything would burn. "You knew," I said, not a question, a statement, and he didn't deny it. That's when I realized something terrifying. This wasn't just about my wife making a mistake. This was about someone I trusted strategically tearing apart my life from the inside. That night, I didn't scream, I didn't fight, I didn't throw him out. I did something worse. I cut him off. Completely, no closure, no second chances, no dramatic goodbye. Just silence, because sometimes the most painful thing you can do to someone is make them irrelevant. And her, I gave her a choice, not out of weakness, but out of control. You get help or I walk. No begging, no negotiation, no emotional speeches, just a line, clear, sharp, final. And for the first time since everything started, she looked scared, not of me, but of losing everything. She checked herself into rehab. The next few months were the hardest of my life. Couples therapy, every other day. Imagine sitting in a room, forced to relive the worst moments of your life over and over again. But this time there were no lies. She showed the messages, every single one, and what I saw made my blood run cold. He had been telling her that I approved of their relationship, that I wanted it, that I enjoyed it, that I had even called myself a cuckold. I had never said that, not once. He created a version of me in her mind that justified everything they were doing, and she believed it, not because she was stupid, but because she was trapped, guilty, addicted. And slowly losing control of reality. That's when I realized something important. If I wanted revenge, I could destroy both of them, expose everything, walk away, let them deal with the wreckage. And honestly, for a while, that's exactly what I wanted, but then something changed. One night after therapy, she broke down again, but this time it wasn't about guilt, it was about shame. "I don't think I deserve you. I don't think I deserve this life." And I looked at her, really looked at her. This wasn't the same woman who betrayed me. This was someone who had hit rock bottom and finally understood the damage. And in that moment, I had a choice. Destroy her or rebuild something stronger, so I made a decision, not to get revenge, but to take control of my life again. I stopped coasting, stopped neglecting my marriage, stopped escaping into distractions, because if I was being honest, before all of this, I had already checked out. Late nights, video games, bars, work, anything except being present. And while that didn't justify what she did, it made me realize something uncomfortable. I wasn't completely innocent either, so instead of revenge, I chose transformation. And that was something neither of them expected. Months passed, then years. Trust didn't come back overnight, it came back slowly, painfully, piece by piece, but something had changed, the power dynamic. Before, I was passive, comfortable, detached. Now I was aware, present, intentional. She didn't just want forgiveness, she needed it. She even asked me multiple times to sleep with someone else, to even the scales, but I refused, because this wasn't about keeping score, and deep down, she knew that, which made it harder for her, because while I had forgiven her, she couldn't forgive herself, and that became her punishment. Fast forward 9 years. Yeah, 9. Most people thought we wouldn't last 9 months, but here we are, still together. Stronger than ever, we paused everything, rebuilt from the ground up. Eventually, we explored again, carefully, openly, and then we closed it again by choice, not out of fear, but out of understanding. And my best friend, he's gone completely. No dramatic downfall, no big confrontation, just irrelevance. And that's the thing about real life. Sometimes the most satisfying revenge isn't watching someone fall apart, it's watching yourself build something better without them. They took my trust, my peace, my sense of control, but in the end, I took it all back, not by destroying them, but by refusing to let their betrayal define my future. And honestly, that hits harder than any revenge ever could. Sometimes you don't need revenge, sometimes life gives you something better: clarity, growth, control. And the quiet satisfaction of knowing you didn't become the worst version of yourself just because someone else did. If this story hit you in a real way, if you've ever had to choose between revenge and something harder, let me know in the comments. What would you have done? And if you want more stories like this, raw, real, and unforgettable, hit like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.